will buy it, it'll go before the city board of estimates, it'll get funded and approved, and then it'll go into operation. The challenge here is the mayor is not willing to go out when there are people like me, the ACLU, and other knowledgeable people saying it's an invasion of our privacy, right? And so what we have to do is structure the program sufficiently to allay those fears, right? To show folks that, yes, we are not using the most state-of-the-art imagery technology or capabilities, right? That has to be clearly articulated.
And it was.
It obviously hasn't.
Not
Right,
everyone's
right,
heard it.
Right. And so until you do that and get folks convinced that the technology is not going to be that intrusive,
And,
right?
and that, one of the things we found is that almost everybody who has actually seen it and
You see,
understands
my problem,
the
excuse me,
privacy.
listen, I have to say this. See, my problem is that it's one thing you need to say you need community support. I already know how to get community support. I already know it. Okay? Already they have intrinsic. Already they have intrinsic. When you flick the shot and you called it the magic program.
Magic.
And,
Yes, sir.
they already have that.
Right.
And for you all to say, well, you know, when we do it, all we see is dots.
Right.
Okay. All right. But then there are cameras already
Right. Right. On
that
ground.
can, I mean, pick you up.
Right.
Okay, so you want community support? All you have to do is take what you can do technologically and turn it against those who would be the let me say,
The naysayers.
right. Well, listen, if you tell them, all right, we are not only watching you, we are also watching the ports.
Yeah.
Okay, fentanyl comes from,
China.
we're watching the ports.
Scare somebody, man.
And
We're watching
these-
what's going
these
on.
boys never leave the city. I've never left the city.
Well, see-
Some of them have never been to the Baltimore Zoo.
The camera work is already intrinsic. See,
$5 million
this is what puzzles me. I mean, you go, well, you know, all we can do is just show dots. No, already.
Right.
They have all these cameras everywhere that ain't doing, excuse my expression,
Let it rip.
I've been preaching for over 4 decades. They ain't doing a damn thing. Nothing.
The other objection is that it is a privately controlled program, right? And so there's a difference when it is a publicly owned asset, right, that is doing the recording, and that the rights of the citizens in those instances are clear. They may not be as unbiased as we'd like them to be, but it's clear how the process works when it's a publicly owned asset. It is less clear, right?
And again, let me try to address that real quickly, because we just haven't gotten to that part yet, and I know that we've run real long. We have an extensive privacy program that we put together. I have briefed it to the ACLU. I walked right into their headquarters and I
Okay,
briefed it.
but David obviously,
David Roca
still
refuses to see it.
objects. That's right. He still
David
objects.
Roca has refused to come see the briefing.
Right.
But the national head ACLU, and we briefed the ACLU conferences, we got tremendous input. So some of the things that we did that came out of those meetings, one, we agreed to limit our resolution to 1 pixel per person, because that's all I need, to see a dot leaving a murder scene. And oh, by the way, people always ask me, well, that's fine now, what happens when your cameras get better? If I had 10 pixels on a person, I couldn't tell anything else about them, but what I'd be giving up is covering 10 times the area, seeing 10 times the crime, being able to solve 10 times more crime.
Yeah, it's not
So
a technology matter.
there's a technology aspect that says it's better to cover a much larger area and see more crime, and that's what we would do. The other part is, we only look at major crimes that are agreed to by the community, that is put on contract with us, that said, here are the crimes you're allowed to see. And those are the ones that we are allowed to go in and look at from a prosecution investigatory standpoint. The defense attorney can always come to us and ask for our support. So they're not limited, the prosecution is limited to what we've agreed to. The other thing is every place that our analysts have ever looked is recorded and reviewable. And we've asked the ACLU, we've asked the Oversight Committee here in Baltimore to be the ones that come in and review everything that we've done. Because we want that. We have offered to have them, get them an office in the building, to provide them coffee and everything else, so that they can oversee exactly what we do. And because everything's reviewable, we hold our analyst accountable, we hold our senior level analyst accountable, and all of that is reviewable by the staff at the mayor's office or any other oversight group that they care to put in place. And those are some of the things that we put in there. The one thing that we changed in our privacy policy based on our operational experience here in Baltimore is we originally agreed to only maintain the data for 45 days. And our plan was to destroy it except for the data that was involved with a crime. The problem we had was in every single mission, every day, we got 200 to 300 calls for service from the citizens saying that there's crime that occurred within the imagery. And according to the Baltimore video camera policies, we have to maintain that data until the last criminal convicted is released. And so we've agreed to hang on to that data, but take it offline and make it not accessible other than through a warrant or through other information after those 45 days. But that also keeps it available for the defense attorney, like the one that called us in October for an incident that occurred in January. And we were able to go back in time and pull up that information and provide that information to them. And we believe that the ACLU is the defense attorneys that we briefed, the public defenders that we briefed, were very appreciative of that. And so that's why the defense attorneys said we have to maintain the data, and we have maintained the data in that way as well. Yes, sir.
Who selects what situations you take pictures of?
As part of our contract, it lists out the explicit crimes that we're allowed to look at. And anything that's not in there,
Who selects?
that would be done by the city council and their staffs, or the mayors and their staff. But it would be in the contract, it would be a public document, and like Dayton, Ohio wanted to add in their public dumping. It's not something we actually ever had time to look for, but they wanted to be able to put public dumping as a crime that we would be allowed to look at. But the real fact is, we almost never get through the shootings and the murders and the stabbings and the rapes and the aggravated assaults, that we never got down to that level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, because the very perpetrators, they keep saying that you can't do it, is the ones that select what you can and can't look at.
Well, to be honest with you, it's the shootings. The biggest thing I'm interested in doing is cutting down on the shootings and the murders.
But I'm saying overall, you cover such a large area.
Yep.
There's so much that go on.
Yep.
You know, why can't they just say all that is covered within those segments of the time that you're doing it?